Yeah.
Greetings, beautiful humanity. Joshua Hathaway and Robert Schwankler on behalf of the Brotherhood community, coming at you live with some reflections and celebrations about the incredible journey that we just took with a group of men in our Men's Leadership Intensive. And God, everybody showed up so fully for this experience. And what the journey really did was incredible journey. It uncovered the essence of each of the men in that space, uncovered their essence and brought them into alignment with their core frequency, with who they actually are. And the mana and the vitality and the energy of these men, the clarity and the potency of these men, the magnetism of these men, when they were able to really come back home to their essence, was just astounding, stunning, magnificent, majestic. Yeah. Anything to add, Robert?
Yeah, what do I want to say? I was just sharing to some different places on our social media here. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited just to get together and talk about the kind of transformation that can happen when guys get together and do this kind of work. We have worked with guys from all around the world, and oftentimes, I was thinking about this before we got on, there's kind of two, if we're really going to generalize, there's two types of guys who tend to come into the weekend. One of them is the guy whom I look at and I can just see how small he's living, just how small his energy is. Off, like literally this weekend, there's one guy who's walking in with his chest collapsed, his head slumped forward, like a slouchy.
People's eyes.
Yeah, you can see it on their face. You can hear it in their voice. You can, or in their not voice. You know, oftentimes these guys, they're not speaking. They don't speak confidently. They don't speak much at all. Their energy is just small, right? So there's those guys that we have done a lot of work with, those kinds of guys, and there were a few of them at this weekend. And then there's on the other side of the spectrum, there's the guys who look like they've got it all together. These are the guys who have achieved a lot of success in the past. Their physical appearance is, you know, they're built, they're confident, they speak strongly, they exude this air of confidence. And both of these archetypes were really embodied at this weekend, and these are both archetypes that we've done a lot of work with in our work as well. And it's just incredible to see what happens during these weekends, during these spaces that we create, when men come together to do the deeper work, where the guys who came in looking small and feeling small end up having these extraordinary breakthroughs. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then these guys whom you might look at and think, oh, he's got it all made. He's everything, you know, he's got it going. He can't have any problems in his life. They end up cracking open also. And as it turns out, there are all these deep parts of themselves that they didn't even know that they were hiding, that have been running the show from underneath, robbing them of the opportunity to create deeper connection with the people around them, robbing of the opportunity to experience just more relaxed states of flow in their lives, and robbing them of peace, really, you know, a sense of inner stillness and inner peace. So,
yeah, and guys from either of those camps, but especially the second camp, are often guys who've done a lot of work on themselves. This isn't their first sort of transformative experience. This is unlikely to be their first men's sort of intensive experience. And it's those guys, and especially those leaders, men who are already leaders in their community, men who are already leading as a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, somebody who's working hard and being successful in their realm of purpose, leading people. It's so powerful for them to come into a space where they don't have to lead. It's so beautiful to watch them sort of let go and trust into a space where they don't have to lead and where they just get to do their own work, where they get to just show up and do their own work.
And I want to speak a little bit more about that kind of guy, because the thing that oftentimes happens with people who are in that position is it's actually a position of there's a quality of invulnerability to it. It can be very safe and comfortable to be in the position, where you're taking the charge and you're leading and you're directing the action and your attention and energy are going outward to other people. And that can be a really safe setup to prevent the energy and attention of other people coming back toward you.
Yep. And, as I've called myself out for in the past, many of these men are in the transformational sphere, right? And so we think that, or at least I thought once, that being so consistently in these transformational spaces as a leader was sort of the way I did my work. And I realized that there's another level of the work that's possible when we are not the ones holding the container, when the only person we really truly have to hold is ourselves. That's a whole nother level of the work that I think is really powerful, especially for men who are all up in these transformational spaces and leading in those spaces. I promise you, your leadership in those spaces is not enough, that it's essential to keep going into spaces where you can fall apart and not be holding anything, so that you can really come back to your essence, come deeper into your essence. And on that note, I just want to name some of the ways that these guys came into their essence over the course of this weekend, the ways that they really embodied, not just like thought through and decided on some cognitive level, but deeply embodied the experience of trusting more, recognizing the places where they're trying and efforting to live up to some sort of idea of who they're supposed to be, and really just relax and like fall into the effortlessness of who they actually are. And that part of us, that beautiful, innocent essence that just got covered up because it got trained to operate in a certain way by our families, right? By our communities, by our culture. And the ways that these men were able to identify some of the implicit agreements that we tend to operate under in social spaces, and start to really question and have more choice around how I choose to operate in the presence of those unspoken agreements, right? Those
I would love to
social
articulate a few. I would love to make that even a little bit more clear, because this is a really powerful piece, is to become aware of these unspoken agreements we're navigating the world with. But it can really take some unpacking where to start to be able to articulate them to ourselves. So I would love to share a few of the flavors that we see getting unpacked during these weekends.
Don't say something to someone that might make them uncomfortable. Don't give somebody feedback that might create friction or conflict in the relationship. That's one implicit agreement that a lot of people are operating under, that is just damaging your relationships and your sense of self-trust. Like, trust yourself. If you have an experience, if you have a feeling in the presence of someone, express it. See what happens. Express it with a lot of curiosity and openness. Get consent. Can I share some feedback with you? Or can I unpack attention with you? Can I clear a charge with you? I'm telling myself a story that, or when you did this, I felt, right? So that's one implicit agreement, that we just don't say things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. Let me speak to another one that I saw coming from a few different guys during this weekend in various ways, which is that if I am really big and fully expressed and bold in the world, I'm putting myself at danger. I'm putting myself literally at the risk of physical harm, emotional harm. I'm putting myself at risk if I share my full truth, and if I speak up for myself, and if I express the full range of my emotional self.
Yeah, it's not safe to be you, to be fully yourself, is the bottom line. implicit. And we have learned implicitly that it's not safe to be fully you, that you have to operate under certain rules and in order to stay safe and to belong, right?
And these are agreements that get made early on, and they happen for a variety of reasons. For some guys, it happens because they're coming from situations of physical or sexual abuse. For some guys, they're coming from situations where their caretakers, usually their parents, were just so emotionally dominant that there was no space for them, that any kind of sign of reactivity would trigger a whole flood of emotions. Maybe it was anger, maybe it was gaslighting, or kind of trying to think of a less jargony way to describe gaslighting. Just like their experience was invalidated, never acknowledged. It can happen for a whole variety of reasons, and we make these agreements with ourselves and with the world early on, whatever the flavor that it looks like, that we're gonna make ourselves smaller. We're gonna dim our light. We're gonna put up the armor and put up the walls. And the result of doing that, this live that we're doing here is called Uncovering Your Magnetic Essence. The result of doing this is that we lose our magnetism, and we lose that spark that has other people in the world around us see us or witness us or listen to us and be like, and most people aren't even aware of this consciously, but there's something that draws them forward. There's something that has them curious to learn more, to engage, as opposed to a sense of kind of repulsion or a sense of a sense of not trusting, a sense of not knowing if it's safe to really get more intimate with this person. The opposite of that is magnetic essence. This is something that we do a lot of work in our Authentic Dating Secrets program, obviously with men around. And it's the common thread of pretty much all of the work that we do, whether it's about dating specifically or not, is we cultivate these spaces for men to come in. And you said it so beautifully as we're preparing for this conversation, but to be able to just release the unspoken agreements, release the layers of shame, release the layers of, and drill down beneath the layers of, sometimes there's a layer of numbness. Beneath that, maybe there's a layer of rage and anger. Beneath that, there's a layer of grief. And beneath that, there's vitality and magic and potency. And the transformation that we saw from some of these guys during the weekend was freaking night and day. Literally, like I was talking about, guys coming in like slumped over. And after we had run one process on anger, and our power is in our anger. I'm not saying to go be angry at everybody. I'm saying to do your work around anger in safe spaces, because to the extent that you've suppressed that part of yourself, you have also suppressed your aliveness. You've suppressed your potency. You've suppressed your capacity to draw boundaries. This man was standing straight and he was standing tall. And he commented to me, he said, "I'm not even trying. My body has just like restructured itself on a physical cellular level." And these are the kinds of changes that happen when men do this kind of work. And a man who's standing straight and standing tall and has a relaxed face and who's making solid eye contact, not like overt eye contact, but who makes kind of confident, relaxed eye contact, is much more magnetically attractive than a man who's speaking and can't totally get the words out and just making
and trying to figure out what the right thing to do and say is.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do here? Because there's some rule book, right? As opposed to like, what's alive for me? What's totally authentic for me to do here? How do I want to play in this moment, right?
Relaxed. And this is like confidence is the word. This is what people call confidence. Really, all confidence is that my nervous system is open and available to express whatever wants to come through in the moment. It's not holding back and suppressing these certain areas.
Oh, exactly. It's relaxed. Like you said, like this sense of relaxation. The most exhausting thing in the universe is to be fighting your own truth, to be fighting your own essence, to be holding yourself back. The force that is you is so fucking powerful and glorious and magnetic and beautiful. And we've all been trained to some extent to hold that back from the world, to keep ourselves safe or to keep others safe. Like, I don't want to take up too much space. I don't want to hurt other people with my fullness, you know? And when we can relax, when we can learn to soften and have this like structure that's open and clear because our spine is erect and we're getting full breath into our lungs and oxygenating our system, and we're present, we're looking at people. And that's another one of those unspoken agreements, right? Is that you don't look at people. You don't really you don't look at strangers, especially, right? You don't make deep eye contact with people and have these moments of presence with strangers. You just kind of keep your head down and go about your business in the world.
Or if you do make eye contact, you avert it again real quick instead of, and I think some people could hear what you're saying and construe it as just making like penetrative, creepy eye contact with every person.
No,
it's not that. There's a relaxedness to it. There's some eye contact. There might be a smile. There's an acknowledgement. There's a capacity to cultivate a little bit of a connection in that moment, even if it simply means evoking a little bit of a smile from the person as you walk past them, you know, whatever the situation may be.
Well, I love the words. It's eye contact. You're making contact with the other person through the eyes. You're not having a stare fight with them, right? It's totally different. You're just making contact. Oh, hi, human being. Hi, subjectivity. Here's another subjectivity over here. Oh, yeah.
So
it's just been so
I want to move toward wrapping up, and I would love to leave people with one or two pieces of practical application, because uncovering your magnetic essence, it's such a vague thing. We have these deep, powerful containers we bring men into and do this for 4 days straight. And that's obviously an option for anybody listening and watching, is to reach out to us and explore the idea of coming into our men's leadership intensive, into Authentic Dating Secrets, into one of our offerings. And for the person at home who's just listening, I would love to share, one or two tools that they can take away and start to practice uncovering their magnetic essence on their own, in their own space, on their own time.
Yeah. Well, I think we just alluded to one really simple one, which is, posture is such a powerful reflection of what's happening on the inside. Like, if you just take a moment to collapse yourself for a while and notice how you start to feel, and then take a moment to open your chest, roll your shoulders back, relax your shoulders, tilt your head back a little bit, and breathe deeply and notice how you feel. You'll feel a vast difference in the joy and the presence and the sense of self-connection and the confidence you feel. So just noticing your posture, starting to notice that everywhere you go all the time, and starting to bring conscious awareness to how you sit, how you stand, how you walk, how you run. And then to the next level, making eye contact with people as you walk around in the world. Simple practice. Just start to actually get into the world and get present to other human beings, and just make eye contact and hold it. Don't make eye contact and then avert it quickly. Make eye contact and hold it. Like, curious, connected, and see what happens.
And you might give a little smile.
New world. Yeah.
Yeah. This brings to mind a good friend of mine from when I lived up near Seattle. We'd be walking down the street and we'd pass somebody, who'd be like, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And they would respond, and we would pass them, and I'd be like, "Do you know that person?" He's like, "No." He literally was treating these strangers walking down the street as if they were best friends of his. And it was such a learning lesson for me, because being open like that on the street is difficult for me. But it can just be making eye contact, and that can be a powerful practice for somebody who's used to totally averting their eyes. And you can treat every single person on the street like they're your friends, and it might bring up some discomfort for you, but you're going to get some beautiful responses from people as well.
Yeah, and some awkward moments can get totally cold-shouldered too. People are in their own world, dreaming their own dream, and you have no power over how they respond. All you choice around is how you show up. And
Yeah.
so it's a beautiful practice. And it is a way of uncovering that innocent essence, that capacity to just connect and be present and playful. It is utterly magnetic, and it's so much fun. And you'll notice what comes up in you and the places that start to contract and pull away as you endeavor to practice this. And it's
where
not like there's a pass-fail situation, right?
Where those unspoken agreements start to come up again, though.
Yeah, where the guards of our social conduct come in, and that are just right in here, the shame and the fear. And you get to make friends with those and get to befriend them more and more until they're no longer your masters, but companions along the way.
Yeah.
So they never really go away, but you can be the king among the council rather than be sort of controlled by these entities, these feelings.
So we'd love to hear any, there's a couple things, just any questions that you're curious about. Would love to hear them in the comments. And also would love to hear, if you feel like sharing, what are your flavors of being small in the world? What are the habitual patterns of covering up your magnetic essence and covering up your light that you have realized that you navigate the world with? We would just love to hear and know more about you, know what connected for you in this video.
Yeah, and I'm sure that other people will relate to some of that. And so, please share yourself and let yourself be seen in that way, because you're not alone, I promise.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the final piece of the Men's Leadership Intensive, of this work that we do, is that coming into your essence, we're told that we won't belong, that we're going to be sort of excommunicated from the community if we are our wild, innocent, true self. And the fact is that actually you belong more fully and more completely than you ever have, and that you get to be not alone in your full essence. So thanks for tuning in, y'all. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for watching.
Looking forward to more.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you soon.